All right, Jill, let's start with your work. First of all, I just want to make a note that your file name wasn't named the way the instructions said, and it's not, a huge thing, but I guess maybe just a pet peeve of mine just to know that you're, reading and applying those instructions correctly. But anyway, your photos. Um, I felt like you had some really strong photos. I can tell you had fun with this project, and we're trying to figure out those design elements, principles, and apply them to you know what's outside your life right now. I noticed maybe a couple images that were stretched, and so that's just again learning the software a little more. In the tutorial, they talk about that that tool that shrinks it down proportionally. So just keep your eye on that. I really like this example of containment, um, and how this little design element it it just it feels good in this little space. And I think sometimes that's when there's a good design and you see it and you just look at it and you're like, it just feels good. And you kind of get that reaction. Kind of felt that there. Um, I really like this example of depth. Um, I feel like maybe it's a better example of atmospheric perspective, but again, I know a lot of these design principles overlap. I like this rhythm in this picture here, and then these lines. So this repetitious um, kind of lines here create interest and kind of hold me in this picture. Um, I felt like scale, I wasn't quite sure on this one, um, kind of what you were pushing as far as the proportion. Again, I think this one is a fun example of that, and I can tell you're really, exploring these principles. I thought this was an interesting um, depiction of visual weight, and and I know the visual weight and visual gravity ones were kind of harder to grasp, and um, but I thought that was fun, trying to push that a little. Um, Moving on to your professional examples, I really like, and I thought you did a good job, picking some professional examples that apply to these principles and explaining them, the good explanations. I really like this depth, how many elements there are here, with these hands in the foreground kind of leading us off, and this nice soft atmospheric perspective in the back. Good choice there. I like this pace here, captured with that blur, um, and I liked your ponder page. I thought you did a good job. Oh, I could see you forgot a little element there, but I felt like you played with the typography a little bit. Maybe played with some of those paragraph styles. So I appreciated that. And Catherine, you're up. Let's look at your pictures. Again, there's a file naming issue. To have your name on that, and obviously I know your name's in the file, but to next time to make sure that your name's in the file. I really enjoyed your photographs. Maybe it's because I'm a cat lover, but um, I enjoyed this proximity. How close these elements are, and maybe if you took the images away and just made basic shapes, having those tight, close images, it creates a different design and a different mood to the piece. And you can remember that for next week. I really like this linear perspective, just really tight overlapping. I also like your atmospheric perspective. Um, Really easy to understand, that the things that up front are going to be darker in color and have more saturation, and things in the back are going to be, lighter in value and have less saturation. Um, I felt like you explored the design elements and gave me a variety of pictures. I like, where's the focal point? I really like this image here, both of these. The way this kind of twists and leads you in and kind of keeps you inside here. It doesn't just lead you off, or maybe it's the contrast in there, but I really like that image. Um, your professional pieces, felt like you did a good job finding the elements in these professional designs and gave really good descriptions. And I even like how you added the source here. I appreciated that. Your ponder page was pretty good. I mean, I'd like to see a little more information here. I know in the tutorial it talks about, kind of having some text along this line, so adding a little more, a couple more sentences to each of these elements would be really good. And then you'd be able to have more text to play with as far as, paragraph styles and alignment. Moving on to Indira, I hope I'm saying your name right. I thought you did a good job on your photos. Again, I could tell that you worked hard and you were really searching for those principles, and didn't give me a lot of repetitious images. Some of them that I really liked were the lost and found. I really liked this down here. Just very simple, just a little overlapping, yet it's an interesting image. Creates interest. I thought your atmospheric perspective picture was really strong. Having this in the foreground, and obviously this horizon, it shows that depth there with that, that heavy horizon and the light value of the background. Symmetry, this one I paused at and kind of wondered about this. Like, these two, mirror each other and are symmetrical, but then from here to here, I feel some balance, but I almost would put it under the asymmetrical category. And I know a lot of them overlap and get confusing, but and then visual hierarchy. I felt like, I'm not sure, is the boat the focal point, or this vase, or the lamp? Like, I wish one of them just like maybe was in front of the other one, or somehow showed that this was the focal point. Your professional examples, I thought were good. I enjoyed this one, this unity, and yeah, it's very unified, yet how much interest is in that? Very captivating. And visual pace, I like this shape here, kind of leads you around and keeps you inside this image with these other elements, interacting with each other. I feel like that's really strong. This I felt like was weak, and maybe because it's distorted, and you want to make sure when you're placing the images that you don't stretch them or distort them. But I thought your other examples were strong. Here, your ponder page, I enjoyed learning more about you. I wish there was just a little more information and but I felt like you did a pretty good job. And this white space kind of bothers me as we learn the software more, we'll be more comfortable with, changing things like that. Um, but great first assignment. Um, Memory. I hope I'm saying your name right. I may have just butchered it, but let's look at your photos. Um, Repetition. I really like this repetition here in these apples. Um, how they're sprawled out here. It kind of keeps you in the image, and maybe, that visual pace. Some of these kind of line up here. Um, the alignment, I feel like, the books are aligned, but maybe it could have been, or that's containment, was the alignment. Um, oh, here, somebody made a note of, I feel like maybe it could have been pushed a little more, but I feel like overall I could tell you were, trying to find these design elements, and, which I appreciate. I really like this overlapping. And in our next shapes project, I can see this composition playing out with this shape here and these angles coming here, maybe something else small coming there. So just, creating that depth. I like that. I like this pattern here. It creates that movement and repetition. Going on your next set of photos, I felt like the visual weight and visual gravity, those are harder concepts to kind of understand, and they weren't defined, I feel like, very well in the assignment. But I like how the visual gravity, if you think of objects relating to each other and kind of pulling on each other, like as if they had a gravitational pull. You can see maybe if these little hearts were their own little design element, that they relate together and are kind of holding each other in. Let's see your professional page. I feel like you had good examples of some principles of design. I wondered if they were from ComArt or the AIGA websites, maybe just cropped off the text or other elements. But other than that, I felt like, really good, strong. I love this scale and proportion, very simple elements. I would have liked to see a little more explanation on why you think this shows depth, and why this is, the emphasis of the picture. Just try to expound a little bit next time. Ponder page, again, just try to expound and, give me a little more meat in the response that you give. Stanley, let's see. Stanley, I really like this grouping, how, it just blends together here, but, their elements. I like this. This is playful. All these aligned here, and you also get alignments going down this way. Lost and found, that this is, in the foreground and that is in the background, creates interest. One thing I guess I was a little confused on the principle of the location. Maybe it's because he's on the ground, creating some depth there, but maybe could have been pushed a little more. Let's see here. I felt like there were multiple pictures used, or maybe too many of the same subject. So I feel like maybe that could have been, you could have explored a little more with that. over here with focal point, you know, my eye kind of goes around it, and I'm not quite